our panelists for this evening. Today's panel discussion is on the World Spine Day. I would first like to take the opportunity to welcome our panelists, our CanBeWell members, and our guest. The first of our panelists is Georgio Trimarchi. I apologize, Georgio. Georgio will be sharing ideas about spine health and your relationship with your spine. The areas that will be explored will be the 4 osteopathic principles, potential cause affects spinal health. Examples would be scars, traumas, and disease states, as well as treatment, prevention, and maintenance for your spine health. Georgio will also be discussing multidisciplinary approaches to spine health. Please help me in welcoming Georgio.
Hi, everyone. So I'm just going to put this on speaker view, and I'm going to try to, if share can turn off her video as well. Ping it. Here I am, and I'm just trying to remember how to, okay, share screen. That's it. Okay. Sorry about this, everyone. I don't think I was prepared enough, but let's see, current slide from beginning. Okay, there I am. Okay, well, thank you, CanBeWell, for inviting me to talk about World Spine Day. This is an exciting topic for me. That's me, and it's Trimarchi, but thank you. So we all have different perspectives of how we see things. And we can share the perspectives, or we may have different ones. So over the last 30 years, I grew my perspective from learning a lot of different modalities, from osteopathy, energy healing, massage therapy, touch for health, and supplements, as well as I'm looking at other ideas in the energy fields much more. We all have a journey, and we've taken a journey with our spine, with our body, because it is still one in totality, but it has many parts. And so we may have had our different traumas or excitements in life, and we always carry these things forward with us. And there's always a memory inside the body somewhere, and we store them. So a person like myself, I've seen these things that are stored, and we try to release them. Now, we're talking about the spine today. And I'm going to just take one aspect, connecting the spine, because I have 15 minutes. So this could be basically a topic over weeks. So simplify matters. I'm going to talk about the spine in relationship to the heart. Now, the spine is made up of just some little anatomy. So we actually know what the spine's about if you haven't seen one before. So we have the skull bones, and then the head sits right on top of the first 7 vertebrae, which are the cervical vertebrae, which are your neck. And then you have the thoracic ones. There's 12 of them, and they're connected to the rib cage, which protect all your organs, vital organs. And then you have the lumbar area, the low back, and there's 5 vertebrae there. And then the last one is the sacrum and the tailbone, the coccyx, and it's wedged between the 2 hip bones. Now you can see it's fairly an alignment. The alignment here, we're going to just talk about that just quickly. Each vertebrae is made up of different things, like the spinal cord here, and this is a lesioned vertebrae. You have a herniated disc, you have a compressed spinal cord, or you have nerves that pop out of here that are compressed, and pinched nerves, people may call them too. So these are a lot of the things that can happen with the spine. These can be local, but there's always an underlying root, a cause that is affecting the body. And that's what I want to kind of connect the heart with. When we look at people, we look at their postures. This is a fairly straight posture. This vertical line goes through the ear, through the hip bone, and through the ankle bone. And so the muscles are in balance. What happens when the muscles are not in balance? Or there's certain postures that we adapted to. So you can see the kyphosis, or more roundedness, and the arching of the low back. So the vertical line kind of misses the hips and the ankle right here, you can see. And then muscles can be long and weak in the front or different areas, and the other areas are short. So you have imbalances. This could put a lot of pressure on the spine. This is just a back view. This person's a little bit to the right, you can see, but this is no one's ever perfect. You know, what's perfect? If you feel good, you're perfect. So there's a line that goes straight through and through the middle of the spine. And then you can see other muscles around that support you. But here, there's a line, the plumb line goes straight up, and you can see there's like a C-curve action here with the dotted lines. And then you have one that's like an S shape, like a scoliosis. These are different types of scoliosis. These type of positions of the spine give a rise to a lot of tension, and then people have a lot of pain from this kind of stuff as well. Some people, they're so accentuated with their curves that at a young age they put bars in, like Harrington bars and rods, and to keep the vertebrae straighter. And I've seen a couple of people like this over the years. We need to start early when we work with people, and it's great working on babies because there's less to do and it's minutes to work on them. And then as you get older, it takes a little longer, especially when there's chronic buildup. So when someone comes in, they may have a pain somewhere, but there's a whole connection or deeper answers towards their type of symptoms. What I'd like to talk about has been happening in these days during this time of unrest. And I got back to work and I noticed that a lot of my clients had a spasm of their brain. And basically, this is the brain and this is the back of the head. This is the left brain, this is the right brain, and there's a bridge in between. And these guys are all having fun, more artistic side, and these people are all working really hard, logical thinking, decision-making. Now this part here, I noticed through palpation, and osteopaths will tend to learn about palpation, like holding a balloon with water and there's objects inside, and then we can kind of feel what's inside and feel the pressures and changes. So I would find that this left brain would be in spasm and would be encroaching into the right brain. So the bridge in between is getting compressed, so there's less information crossing. But what's also happening is that the nervous system was affecting the rest of the body in different parts. So everyone's a little different. Like today I had a lady, a young lady that had this, call it brain spasm, and her heart was affected with the nervous system, and her kidneys, her small intestines, and her uterus, ovaries. So she had menstrual issues already, and she had digestion trouble. She had anxiety, pressure in the chest and heart area. And I said, it's no problem. You're fairly healthy. I've seen you before. And we just have to reset your nervous system and release all those organs of tension. And then she felt better after the session. So this is just a little bit of ideas of the right brain, left brain again. So here's the heart. And sorry, it's a little blurry here. I thought I took a better picture. And the heart is connected to many, many ideas. Circulation comes to mind as first, but there's also other connections. So when we look at the fluids of the body, we look at the vasculature, circulation, and it's all over the place. So if this is affected, what's going to happen to your body? You're going to wake up in the morning, your body's heavy and stiff. You walk around, you take a shower, you feel a bit better. Usually I look at heart energy for that, or the position of the heart or the tension on it. Then you have the endocrine system. This is the chemical system in your body. So this is where you have hormones and chemical reactions in the brain. Serotonin's a really nice one. You know, it makes people a little bit happier. And then you have the nervous system, and it's everywhere. So the spine is not alone. So if something is happening, let's say the heart, which I'm finding, there's a compression issue that's occurring, and it's affecting all these systems. So I take that into consideration. This is just another picture of the heart, a side view. This is the front of the chest, this is the back, this is the neck, and this is the diaphragm, the base. There's also fascia. Fascia is like saran wrap wrapped around your body and all over the place. So this is the heart in here. And I just want to talk about the ligaments that attach to the neck from the heart. They're like aprons that wrap around your neck. And this is part of the pericardium, or the wrapping around the heart of ligament material. And so these ligaments attach to the neck, and then also to the back, the front, like the inside of the back, you know, and then the chest area, and then the diaphragm. So imagine if you have tension in the heart, what happens with all these structures here? You get a constricting and pulling, so you can have back pain, you can have chest pain, jabbing pain, which is what this one client had today. She had like little sharp pains into her chest. I said, it's no problem, it's just your heart's jammed up, that's all, you know. This is a position of someone that may have the ligament around the neck that's tight, that's connected to the heart. And so you can see the changes in the vertebrae of the neck. There's a lot of compression. Eventually they'll ossify, and then they'll have a bamboo or a straighter neck. So the straight neck won't be able to attenuate forces. A curved neck, think like a spring. That's what we need in our spine. Ballet dancers may have this kind of situation over time, because they have to raise their center of gravity so their legs can go around their head. And so they'll straighten up their spine, they'll be straighter. Also, how you sit and stand all the time, or sit all the time at work, may be an issue. And so this is the person here, a little bit of all the compressive forces that can happen. So you can see all this, and breathing is an issue as well, so less oxygen. So these are the kind of things that can affect the heart. Other things that can affect the heart can be also emotional issues, mental, spiritual, and there's a lot of work in the fields, and that's my favorite area to work with, and find the history, the past that affects the body, a stressor, and when we release that stressor, the energy opens up here today, and the organ releases. It's beautiful when it happens. So the technique I want to offer today to help these situations that may occur to texting kids, now adults, and then maybe someone that's you know, running a race and is looking over the race many years later because they fell and they were the best runner, you know, or some embarrassing moments in history. So these could be old emotional stressors in the body. I'm going to show you a technique to help release the heart and the nervous system, through the nervous system. So you'll see many people do this kind of stuff. Oh my gosh, you know, like whenever something is happening. And what they're doing, they're actually putting their hands on this beautiful neurovascular points. It's like where blood supply can be accentuated by touching it. But what happens with people in stress a lot of times is that the hindbrain is like a survival area. And your autonomic nervous system, things that have to work, like your heart, the heart rate and everything, are working from back here. But if you end up putting your hand in the front, you'll allow more blood to come to the front brain, your frontal lobe, and then allow better creativity on solving your situation that you may be having. So this technique can be done with someone putting their hand behind you like this, or if they put their hand on here, you could put another hand on the heart as well. So one person can do that to you, and if you want to do it to yourself, you can. So you see people putting their hands on their desk, their elbows on their desk with their hands on their forehead. Also, you can go and lay down on the side of your bed, or, you know, with a pillow, you put your hand here, it'll stay nice. And you can put your hand on the heart. And then what you have to do is really do some low, very, very nice deep breathing below your navel, and you start breathing into that area. Sorry, I'm looking over here because my my face is there. Apologize for that. So basically, if you can actually breathe slowly, and then these points here will start to work after a couple of minutes, you'll find yourself in a more relaxed state and maybe be able to resolve your issues that you have. This technique goes further, but if you have a memory of some emotional situation, traumatic situation, you can go back into that and do this, and then let's see if it starts to shift for you, because your body you might start noticing your body doing some things. Okay, so that's that technique there, and a little bit of other things. We can look at some self-care and prevention ideas, and there is so many, and these are the common ones that you see. If you hydrate yourself, that's going to be a great thing, because you're going to 70% of your body is water or fluids, and when people are dehydrated, they're tired, and their muscles shrink, and they get tight. So hydrate, and watch the foods you eat, because nowadays the food that people eat, you know, because if you're under stress, it's going to be the sugars, the coffee, the nicotine, the alcohol, and the carbohydrates I mentioned. And these will all bring your energy low. So moderate those ideas, and you know, rest and sleep is a good idea. Exercise, moving your body, going for walks. I'm recommending that a lot to my clients.
Yes.
And so and fun, joy, and love, that opens up your heart a lot. Mindfulness and meditation. Meditating, I've noticed in the last few days, a few days ago, I couldn't, like I meditate and I go into organs, you know, that's my style. And I couldn't get into my heart because it felt like there was some buzzing going around. And I've been noticing this from our society, of the fear of you know, what's happening. And so after that one meditation, I got closer. And then just this morning, I was able to sink in. And I felt like my breath, I felt like I wasn't even breathing. So I got into a really relaxed state. I didn't even need a breath. It took so long to come in and out. And my space opened up and I felt calm. So I think we have to go more inward than stay outward, to look in the outward and find out, tap into our body and help our body kind of relax, and make sure you breathe. There's other things, martial arts, qigong, yoga, grounding exercise. Go out on the earth, put your bare feet on there, and take the electromagnetic field of the earth as well. I'd like to thank you all for listening to this presentation, and I hope it was insightful. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Georgio. And now I'd like to introduce our second panelist. This is Heather Phillips. Heather will be exploring the area of circuit breaker reset, enhancing the activation of the spinal reflex points. Heather will use the technique from Muscle Tuners International, Inc., which expands on the discovery of Dr. John Fay, spinal reflex technique in Touch for Health. With the emotional coordination between the brain and the body, systems can be immediately shown greater flexibility and comfort in the body when bending or moving the spine. Please help me in welcoming Heather Phillips.
There we go. Thank you, Ginny. Thank you for having me, CanBeWell. Today, I am going to expand. I'm going to basically bring you through an exercise that I do on a daily basis. And when I forget to do it, it does affect me. So it's a self-care technique and an expansion on what Georgio said. I really appreciate him reminding us of the emotional stress relief technique from Touch for Health and bringing the blood flow to the front of the brain so that we can process stress and emotions better and faster. So what I'm going to be doing is talking about the circuit breaker reset. Touch for Health calls it the spinal vertebrae bilateral reflex technique, and it was discovered by Dr. John Fay. And he actually uses it as a correction technique in Touch for Health when both sides of the body's muscles are switched off. So what we did in Muscle Tuners International is expanded it and said, What if we did the whole spine? What if we did that technique through the whole spine as a self-care technique? What would that do? And what would it look like? What I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate that now. And just so that you know, the spinal reflex technique is based on the spine, the pointy part of the spine. I'm just going to go and share my screen and show you what that looks like. And you'll notice that a couple of the pictures may be the same. So this is the one from Georgio's presentation. So when you do this, the circuit breaker reset, we take a stimulation and go all the way from the top all the way to the bottom. And what we're really doing was we're accessing and rubbing here. Not hard, gentle, but firm. And these are the points. When you look at the spine, it's all of them in here. One of the things you want to remember is that you're going up and down like this and not side to side, only up and down. And there's somebody who's got their microphone on. If you could please mute yourself, make sure you're all muted. That would be great because this is Facebook Live and we're recording this for future reference. Thank you. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be rubbing here, and you can do it with your fingers on the top. So it looks like this. And you can do it at the bottom. Oops. For the rest of the spine, we can use a tool. I have a back scratcher, or you can use a loofah brush that has a long handle, or a shoehorn that has a long handle. And this is what it looks like when you use a tool. But before I do that, I want to also demonstrate this from a flexibility and daily activity perspective. So when you get up in the morning, you're probably stiff, right? So you go up and you bend side to side. Oh, it's really tight over here. And oh, it's really tight over here. And then you go and you touch your toes. And you might only get to your knees, or you might get to the floor, but you notice the back of your knees and you're noticing, or the backs of your legs, you might notice that there's a big stretch there. So before you do circuit breaker reset, do a measurement, which is measuring your flexibility. You can also chin to chest, eyes to the sky, go right, left, tilt your head, roll your shoulders, and maybe even do a couple of these things. Just, you know, measure your flexibility. Now, take your tool, start at the top. So you're noticing that I'm taking about 2 inches, 1 inch on either side of the spinous process, or the tips of the spine. And now, let me see if I can touch my toes better. Oh yeah, for sure, I was better. Am I tilting more? Actually, I think I was this way before. Am I tilting more? How's the flexibility in my neck? And tilting. Are you noticing a difference? Are you noticing if my shoulders are even? And what about this? I'm wearing black, so it's really hard to see if I've gained any flexibility here, but I definitely feel a lot better. So when you go home, find yourself a tool, such as a back scratcher, or a long-handled shoehorn, or something like that. And remember that we're accessing the spine. This is spine health. And I had back surgery when I was 20, and I had a spinal fusion between L4 and L5. I have a big scar going this way across my back, my lower back. I'm very grateful for the tools and techniques that I've learned through Touch for Health, including the spinal reflexes and the extension of going from top to bottom and back and forth. Again, just focusing on a few inches in the middle along the spine. So start at the top and a few inches and a few inches and a few inches. You don't have to spend a lot of time, maybe 2 minutes for the whole spine, and the flexibility that you actually gain is amazing. It's cumulative, so if you do it on a daily basis, you'll notice that some days you're tight and you do this and you can touch the floor. Other days you do this and you'll have to do maybe twice. So, you know, work with your body, work with your spine. Keep your spine strong, keep it healthy, keep yourself in good postural position, make sure your shoulders, everything is aligned. And if it's not, you know some people who might be able to help you. And now you know another technique where you can help yourself. Thank you so much for having me here today. And just so that you know, there are 5 free techniques at muscletuners.fit. And the circuit breaker reset is one of the techniques that you can take away for free. There's downloads and videos to help you. So if you weren't able to follow along tonight, don't worry, you can do it again. Thank you again for having me on tonight.
Thank you, Heather, very much. And I'm a proponent. I know it works. I'm a testimonial. It does work. Our final speaker this evening will be Paula Nowak. Paula's area will be keeping your energy humming with the spinal flush exercise. Paula explains that our spine is connected to many aspects of our body. By clearing clogged neurolymphatic reflex points, we can feel energized, clear stagnant energies. Lymph plays a key role in our immune system. The spinal flush can stimulate brain power by stimulating the cerebral spinal fluid to flow and to carry protein and assist hormone flow. Please help me in welcoming Paula.
Thanks so much, Ginny. I appreciate that. And thank you so much to Heather and Georgio. That was fantastic. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the spinal flush today. The brain and the spinal cord are your body's central nervous system. So the brain is the command center, and the spinal cord is the pathway for messages that are sent from the body to the brain to the body. So I'm excited to share today this technique from the Eden method, and it's called the spinal flush. And we work with the neurolymphatic points, and we're going to work with the neurolymphatic points that are on just outside the spine. So I'm going to show you a picture. I'm going to share my screen. And you'll notice that there are a lot of neurolymphatic points on the body. There are many neurolymphatic points on the front of the body, especially on the torso, the upper legs, a little bit on the shoulders. Today, we are going to work with the neurolymphatic points on the back. And you'll notice there are some that go all the way up. We're going to work in this area right in here, just outside the spine. And the neurolymphatic points, they're utilized in Touch for Health and in the Eden method to balance the energies of the meridians. They promote the lymph flow via the central nervous system, and they stimulate the energy associated with the muscles, the organs, and the glands. So this is really a great technique to open up the energies and the flow in and out of the spine. Now I'm going to stop share and come back. So it's also really helpful to use this technique to help ground us and to help bring relaxation to the nervous system, which Georgio was talking about, how important it is to release stress, to just bring calm, relaxation to our nervous system, and that really opens us up to healing. So this is really about communicating our nervous system with our brain, and this is a great technique to clear toxins, to stimulate our energy, to stimulate the cerebral spinal fluid, And it also helps to just release stress. I find that I love using this technique. It's a great way to start the day or end the day. Anytime that I'm feeling stressed, I really love this technique. So I have pre-recorded this technique as I needed a partner to do this with, and my daughter had joined me for this. I'm going to ask you to raise your volume. The video is a little bit quiet, so I invite you to raise your volume and listen to the video.
Hi, I'm Paula Nowak. I'm excited to share with you one of my favorite techniques from the Eden method that balances the energies that flow in and out of the spine. It's called the spinal flush. It works with the neurolymphatic points on the back, and it goes along the outside of the spine. Janika's here with me today to help demonstrate the spinal flush. So Janika's going to start off by placing her hands on the wall and placing her head on her hands to protect her head. Her feet are out a little ways from the wall. And what I'm going to do is gently massage about a ½ inch to an inch outside the spine, all the way along the back. So I'm going to start at the neck and move down to the sacrum. And I'm going to massage in little circles for about 3 to 5 seconds with some firmness, and I'll check in with Janika to see how my pressure is. So starting just beside the spine, about a ½ inch out with some pressure. Janika, how does that feel?
It's good.
And then you go down maybe about 1 centimeter and continue to massage outside of the spine with some firmness. And you can do the spinal flush with someone standing, sitting in a chair, or lying down. Continuing on the outside of the spine. This is a great way to work with the neurolymphatic points on the back. How's the pressure?
It's good.
And just checking to make sure that you're outside the spine. Again, you can either do a little bit of a massage with circles, or you can go up and down with your thumbs or your fingers, whatever feels best. And generally you're behind the person. I'm trying to show you my fingers. I'm in a bit of an awkward position. Normally we stand behind the person to stabilize our body. And then at the waist level, you can press going out. And normally we would do this 2 or 3 times. For the sake of this video, we're just going to do it once. You finish off by smoothing down the back, the outsides of the legs, and down to the feet. And that's a great way to balance your energy using the neurolymphatic points on the back. So try it out and see what you think. Thanks for joining us.
Sorry, it took me a little bit of time there to get that video off and get back in there. I know it was fairly quiet, so at the end, if you have a few questions to ask me about that, please do that. There's a few precautions when you are doing this technique. And for example, if you're working with someone who's fairly fragile or small in stature, or someone who has some sort of immune compromised system, it's important to go very lightly when you do the spinal flush. So keep checking in with the person and checking the pressure as you go along, and gradually go into the point and then add some depth to the point depending on that particular person. And it's really great to encourage them to focus on the breath to enhance how that works in their system. So breathing is a really important part of this process, not only for you in giving it, but also in the participant as well. So I have one other technique that I would like to share with you today, and it's a technique from acupressure. And what we're going to do is work with a technique that works with 2 acupressure points on the governing meridian. And what we're going to do is utilize these 2 points to assist the energy in circulating through the spine. So the 2 points are governing meridian 1 and governing meridian 20. So governing meridian 20 is at the top of your head, and the way to find it is to go to the edge of your ears, go to the top of your head, and where your hands meet, that's where it is. So take your 4 fingertips and place it in that spot. And you can just decide what the depth level is. You may decide just to start off with a very light pressure and maybe go to a medium pressure if that's comfortable. So just starting with that, and then placing your other hand, the 4 fingertips of your other hand, at the base of your spine. So it's also a vessel, and the governing meridian or governing vessel also helps to support the spine. So I invite you to close your eyes or soften your gaze, and we're going to relax for a few moments. And as you do this, just allow your body to expand on the inhale and to relax on the exhale. As you breathe in, allow your abdomen to expand. And as you exhale, allowing it to release. Just visualizing a connection between these 2 points, between your tailbone and the top of your head. Visualizing the energy circulating up the spine, nourishing and nurturing you. Continuing to focus on the breath and the energy circulating up and down the spine. And just taking your hands down and placing them on your lap and just noticing how you feel now. This is a really great technique to use for just calming your body. It releases some endorphins, so it's the feel-good hormone. So it's a really lovely thing to do just to calm your nervous system and bring you back to calm regulation. So thank you very much for joining me in trying out the spinal flush and joining up these 2 points.
Thanks, Paula. I just have Georgio and Heather join you. Would like to just come back. Beautiful. So I didn't get announced at the beginning. You might have seen my face. I'm Michelle Greenwell. I'm on the leadership team with CanBeWell and head of the webinar committee putting these together. And this is the opportunity for those of you listening in. Facebook Live, I don't have anybody monitoring any of the chat box there, but we've got any questions from the people that are on the presentation on the Zoom call. We'd love for them to just put their questions into the chat box. And for our panelists, thank you for being here, but also you might have some ideas as well. I don't have anything in the chat box. Perfect.
This is really great. I really liked the presentations tonight. Thank you, Paula and Georgio. And thanks to Virginia for moderating and Michelle for hosting. It's awesome.
So we have a question here. What was the name of the last technique of connecting the 2 meridian points?
So there's really actually no name to it. All it was using 2 acupressure points, and by using those 2 acupressure points together, it allowed for that to happen. So there isn't a specific name. It's utilizing acupressure points, moving the energy through the governing meridian.
It did feel wonderful, Paula.
I actually felt, oh, sorry. I actually felt, sorry, thanks. You don't know when to go, you know. I actually felt like at the beginning, or a little bit in, more of a vibratory feeling. And then all of a sudden, it just, poof, just dissipated, and my body kind of did a little shake. And I felt like this, like, really nice release. I'm very sensitive in my body, so, but I enjoy a lot the acupuncture, or you know, the movement of energy flow. I think this was really nice. Thank you.
I wanted to
Go ahead, Heather.
I just wanted to offer the viewers and the listeners that Paula's technique is wonderful, and you can actually do it on a self-care level as well, by putting a ball in a sock and then putting it rubbing it against the wall. I actually do that quite frequently. I sit at the computer a lot, so my upper back between my shoulder blades gets tight, and so I take this ball and start here and go all the way to my waist on one side and flip it over and do it on the other side as well. It's a great self-care technique. So lymphatic, like, that's awesome. Either side of the spine, rubbing that is awesome.
And I also wanted to say that it's really beautiful to have someone do that technique on you. There's something very special about that. And I know how calming that is to receive that. However, there's not always someone around. So it's really great when you're able to do that self-care for yourself. And that's why it's also important to learn the location of the neurolymphatics on the front of our body. And we can access those at any time. So that's a great thing that you can learn in Touch for Health or in the Eden method. And those are great. And usually we hold them a little bit longer. On the spinal flush, we might just do it for 5 seconds. In Touch for Health, we may do that a little bit longer. We may do it for 20 or 30 seconds. And it's also important to know that you don't want to do all of them in one day. You can do the back, because we only did it for 3 or 5 seconds. However, if we did 30 seconds for every single one, that would be a bit overwhelming for our system. So a great thing to learn. And I've also found that if I feel like I'm getting a bit of a cold or a bit of a sore throat, or I feel a little bit achy, it's just incredible how the spinal flush helps that, and also working with the neurolymphatic points, and how much better I feel, how much more energy I have, and it seems to ease that achiness of just the starting of something.
Thank you.
Can I add something?
Yes, Rashida.
It's about governing 1 and governing 20. Governing 1 is close to root chakra, and governing 20 is close to the crown chakra. So it is connecting our roots and our spirit. Cosmic energy enters the body through the crown chakra, and we are rooted to the ground from governing 1. I mean, this is just close to those chakra system as well. Even though Paula said that's just, you know, intuitively she felt that the connection is the actual flow that we need. We need to be rooted, and we need to be connected spiritually to the cosmic energy. This is my understanding about those 2 points.
Perfect. Thank you, Rashida. Helga, did you have a question? Nope. Okay. There's a question here in the box, which is, Heather, what is the best time of day to do the back scratcher technique? When you're warm, after a workout, first thing in the morning, or any particular time?
Well, I'll tell you that I originally had done this in the morning only, and I did this every day, including a couple of other techniques for months. And I went water skiing the next summer and found a huge difference in my flexibility, mobility, and I had no pain after water skiing 2 days in a row after not doing it for 5 years. So the energy techniques are absolutely stellar. So then recently I've actually used it before bed. So I did my stretching, and then I did the circuit breaker reset, and I did the stretching again, and I ended up sleeping better. And I do it before I go for a walk so that it allows me to have more free flow when I'm moving my body. So to answer your question, you can do it whenever you feel like it, and there is no best time, but you'll notice when the best time is for you. You'll just know.
Perfect. Thank you. And that's a great question. Thanks for asking. This one's for Georgio. You mentioned that some people have surgery to install spinal rods. Could you tell us how these rods are attached to the spine? And do you recommend any techniques that are especially good for folks that do have rods?
Well, it's like a major surgery. That they open up the back and they put these two rods on either side, and eventually the bones grow around it as well. So they usually have a big scar in their back. It's not a great surgery to have, you know. The details more, you could probably Google it and see a video of someone doing it. But I have had probably 2 or 3 clients throughout the years, and one of them. She was a yoga person. She can bend her head down with her leg up, and she was really good. But she always got really dizzy, and so I started seeing her. We wanted to see functionally in positions, and then see if the blood was being compressed, because the arteries are pipes, and sometimes you bend a certain way. Now she wasn't flexible at all. It was about like T2, you know, the thoracic area, to about T12 or maybe further. Everyone's a little different, I think. She had a major curve, and it just straightened her out. And it's a challenge. It's a challenge for that person in their life, because they usually have pain for a long time, and the suffering that goes on, it really changes the character. She's great right now, although she had her second child, and she's a teacher and she's exhausted, but her body was so much better. And then I have a new one that just came on board, and she told me that she has that, and she's been suffering since she was 15 years old in a lot of pain. And the modalities that I used, we found that she had infections in her system. So this is the energy side, you know, and her terrain. Her blood flow was too thick. She had toxicities, and then she had a lot of weaknesses, malnutrition. You know, there's a big list for her. And so right now we're starting at the beginning to try to get the terrain inside to actually work better, like the blood flow to flow better. That's the main deal, because without blood, you have no nutrition, and then you're going to have degeneration. So I'm not even looking at the spine. I'm looking at her totality first. That's why I looked at the heart, because for the most part, I work on the organs for the most part to release the spine, because there's a lot of attachments. Just like the uterus, ovary, and bladder. Usually the uterus attaches to the back of the spine, the sacrum, the tailbone area, and a few other areas. So this is very challenging on the body. It's a process, but I think people can get better. You know, from wherever they are, we can always improve that. And through Touch for Health, getting the muscle systems to actually work and to get in balance, that's a beautiful art, I have to say, especially reactive muscle patterns, where you're just waking up muscles and reactors that are reactives, muscles that are sleeping, wake them up, so they'll actually work for you to hold your posture up. And so that's just like the muscle system, but it's an energy system that we're dealing with. I hope that answered your question.
Thanks, Giorgio. I've got one more for you here. In terms of the brain spasm, can you tell without the help of a professional if you're experiencing a brain spasm or only through the manipulation or palpitation of an osteopath? In other words, how would I know if my brain was spasming?
Yeah, so that's a term used in the osteopath world. And not only osteopaths, people that do craniosacral or people that are intuitive and sensitive may be able to palpate. I just took my brain courses and I've worked on the brain a lot. And they have a variety of different spasms, like traumatic, where you get whacked on the head or at some point, or you fall. And they have emotional spasms, so something traumatic emotionally happened, and there's a part of the brain that spasms, or even transgenerational stuff that's actually passed down through your lineage, that you're just like Uncle Joe or Cousin Harry or whatever it is, right? So you're all carrying the same patterns of like, you know, there was an alcoholic grandfather once, and then it went down the lineage to some cousins that become addictive. So there's addictive patterns that I've seen. You look in the lineages, it's beautiful. There's studies in Russia that work on mice that look at transgenerational spasms. I don't know how they do that. And then the social spasm as well. There's another course I haven't taken yet, but I believe that this is kind of like some experience our society's having. And thus I was sensing that everybody, 90% of people coming in were having their left hemisphere in a spasm or a constricted manner. Now, I just went on and talked further, right? But this is something that we can try to reset on ourselves. Even if we don't palpate or understand that we have it or not, you'll know if your nervous system's off, because a year ago, how were you? Like before COVID, you know? And how are you now? You know, and a lot of my clients that I saw before were not like this. This is not their body. This is a stress body that has come here in our society. And I'm just trying to help correct that. Many osteopaths, craniosacral practitioners can probably palpate this. And if they work on the brain, you have to ask, do you work on hemispheres, you know, or the endocranial spasms? And if they do, you're in good hands. Putting your hands on your head is a technique I didn't mention today, but it's a spreading technique. You just engage and just pull slightly, not like aggressively, but like I'm pulling right now. I can feel that, you know. It's a cerebrospinal technique in Touch for Health. And the action is moving towards this way. And you might feel if you're laying down, it's easier, or standing until your arms collapse, you know, for some, because some people can't lift, you know. And it might start to just try to spread the hemispheres apart. You're not manually spreading anything inside, but you're releasing the tissue tension of your cranial bones a little bit, so it creates more space. The breathing that you can do, deep breathing, you can actually do breathing, and when you're meditating, you can go inside your brain and just ask questions, or go to the left side and see how you feel, and go to the right side and see how you feel. You don't have to know your anatomy. You just go on the left side of your head, the right side of your head, and you can do this anywhere in the body. I've done this. I know it works, right? And you just sit in that area, and then you see what happens to you. You look at you'll feel your body doing something, and you keep breathing through the whole thing. And you'll recognize something, you'll feel tension, you'll feel pain somewhere, and you just keep breathing through the whole thing, letting go, letting go. And then you go to the right side. Oh, I don't feel much here, you know? And maybe you'll be able to release tension and stress. And then don't forget, you can use this kind of stuff just to release stress too. People take remedies too, like Rescue Remedy, rhodiola. I think Yogi tea is a stress. It's a stress tea there. And I've used a lot of these recommendations during when I was off. I was doing online energy testing, and I was trying to bring stress levels down. And so to answer your question, I don't think people that don't have that sensitivity can palpate that, although you can do things if you suspect a lot of stress in your system. Hope that's helpful. Good question.
Good questions. Okay, thank you everyone. This has been a wonderful evening. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring up the PowerPoint that has all of the information about how you can connect with these three wonderful people if you have any more questions and you want to reach out to them. Also, please be sure to visit their pages and check them out and find them on Facebook and make sure you like and follow. Same with the Canadian Association of Bioenergetic Wellness. If you'll go to our page and like and follow, we would appreciate that too. And you can find the recording again at our YouTube channel, CanBeWell.org. So, sorry, on our YouTube channel, it's not .org, just CanBeWell. So, okay, I'm just going to bring up the PowerPoint here so you have a chance to see that. And I just have to hit the right button to get there. All right, I'll just bring, oops. Here we are. So this is what we were doing today, so you have it there. And here are all of the wonderful websites and email opportunities. And I'm just going to go back to, I've got a couple things here in the chat. So I hope you've had a chance to just link that. And Heather has put her information into the chat as well. Okay. Thank you everyone so much for being here, and I'm going to turn off our Facebook Live. Anybody who's joined us there, thank you so much. We were happy to be able to share this time that way. And I've got that coming off, and I'll stop our recording.